This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
Silas Garrison, how are you, sir?
Todd, I'm doing well. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, dude. I'm doing, I'm doing well. As you know, I'm heavily interested and intrigued by the capital markets and publicly traded companies, and follow it almost too much, where it sort of starts to make your brain go nuts. I mean, how do you, are you allowed, how does it work as a CEO to go, how do you ever speak to potential investors? I'm asking this because I want to take a company public one day, but are you ever allowed talking about your stock to people, saying hey, I think it's a good buy? Are you allowed doing that publicly?
It's dicey. There's definitely laws around that keep me from being trying to convince people they absolutely need to buy. I can tell the story. I can make as compelling a case as possible, but to go so far as to say hey, now's a really awesome time to buy, that I'm not quite allowed to say.
Yeah, you get in a lot of trouble for that, right? Especially if for some reason, we've looked at the markets right now. I mean, this is the talk of anyone in the markets, and especially out of Toronto, where Bay Street is, which you've been to. The markets, and let's start really with what was taking off right out of the CSE on the exchange that you're on, was a lot of this cannabis stuff and a lot of this tech stuff, and blockchain and everything. And my goodness, has it been a very difficult time for a lot of people? So it's a really challenging, man, to be publicly traded. I would imagine it's got to be stressful.
It is. It definitely comes with its challenges. I've been a day trader for well over a decade, just kind of as a side hobby. And I actually got into penny stocks well before I was involved with HealthSpace. So I know the emotion on the other side of the fence and kind of the black box sometimes it looks like as just a retail shareholder buying some stuff on the open market. It's tough being on that side of the fence, now being on this side as an insider. There's definitely days where it's difficult, but it's kind of an enjoyable ride. It's a roller coaster. The stock market is always a roller coaster, and it's dictated largely by the emotions of the market, which are anybody's guess day to day. So there's challenges, but there's also the rewarding factor that when you finally hit your stride and the market rewards you for that, it's very gratifying, very, very gratifying.
What does that phrase mean, when the market rewards you for it?
That's a great question. The way that I would say is, it's when the large majority of, those who are typically buying and selling stocks kind of recognize it as, a prime time to buy, A, and B, they believe in the story. So right now, my job as CEO is really just to execute, because we've been telling a story for years, right? So now it's all about fulfilling that story and doubling down on what it is we're doing here. And sooner or later, the market will inevitably recognize it, because our growth is set to be tremendous over the next few years. And, that's what I mean. The market's going to, at some point in time, see this, and we believe that our shareholders will be rewarded for that.
Well, yeah, and you look at companies such as yours, and companies that show revenues and have constant growth, and companies that signing new contracts and working in your case with HealthSpace.com, Silas Garrison, but governments obviously showing trust there. To me, that's always a great sign. And who am I to say, because I've only been doing this stuff for 2 years in terms of studying markets and everything. But the one cardinal rule is what Warren Buffett would say: is you kind of you what is it? You buy when others are fearful, and you sell when others are greedy, or whatever the hell that line is. I butchered it. It was terrible, but you know what I'm saying. And a lot of people kick themselves when they start to see some of these small cap companies and going, my goodness, all along I believed in what they were doing, and the markets might not have been showing that, and just because the markets were in a bad place. But it's I always tell investors, you do got to really try to, when it feels like there's a lot of panic, that is sort of sometimes, what do I know, but a good time to kind of, get some stock for cheap in a way, right?
Absolutely. There's always good times to buy into certain companies. And it's when the market is acting adversely, whether it's a global systemic type of thing or this one particular company in particular, the stock market's just kind of hating on it for whatever reason. Yeah, it's really good to know your stuff and do your due diligence, as you always encourage people to do, and figure out, does the current share price really reflect what's going on at this company, or is it really more of a symptom of the overall markets or some emotion that's not rational?
Do you feel that the stock market in a way can help with sort of even free promotion of a company? Like, there maybe there's investors or understand, cloud-based systems and understand, what you're doing with health departments and stuff who learned about your stock that then said, hey, we actually got to hire this company for what we're doing too. Basically saying they learned about you through the stock market to use your service.
Sure, it's definitely a possibility. At current state, most of the shareholders on the CSV are, Canadian-based, and so that's obviously only a subset of our overall market, seeing as we target a lot of U.S.-based government agencies. So I'd say at current state, probably not a huge advantage for us, but that's not to say that the script won't flip. And we are gaining, shareholders in the U.S. as well. We're listed there on the OTC.
We got about a minute here. Silas Garrison, the CEO of HealthSpace.com. Any sort of developing news or anything you can let us know from kind of the last chat, which was only about a week ago?
We've our sales growth from last week to this week. You know what? There's more development. Is about as concrete as I can say that. But I say it with a grin on my face. Obviously, this is audio, Todd. You can't see my reaction.
I can feel it.
My body language. Yeah, there's exciting developments that even I'm like, wow, holy crap! Like we're making progress week over week, and so time is really our biggest factor. That in time, the market's going to really see, our shareholders are going to see that we're executing and fulfilling on the promises in the market that we have before us.
I look forward to it, man. Announcements and continued growth, and always great talking to you. Thanks for the sort of little lesson in investing, and not obviously not your company, just in general. And if people do want to take a look, do all your homework, do all your research. It's HealthSpace.com. HS is their ticker symbol. Silas Garrison is always available too. If you want to chat with him, he'll make sure he gets in touch with you. Just reach out to the team over at HealthSpace.com. We do appreciate the quick update and wish you continued success and look forward to announcements down the road.
Awesome, Todd. Always great chatting, man.
Thank you, Silas Garrison, everyone.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.